want to talk today about the Future of Us exhibition, which was mounted from December last year to the beginning of March this year. The exhibition, which was actually held right next to the Gardens by the Bay, and well, we cannot see it. It was a temporary structures. It shows how the technocratic and technologized leadership of Singapore and its people also envision how Singapore will be in 2030 and beyond. In many ways, it unwittingly and revealingly shows the deficits in our imagination about the possibilities of life in Singapore and possibilities of human life in general. So the event caps off the 50th anniversary SG50 celebrations of last year of Singapore's independence, and is billed as an immersive and multi-sensory experience and sited at the Marina Bay Mega Development Precinct, and promised to offer a glimpse of how Singaporeans can live, work, learn, and care in the future. It draws heavily from memes and cliches such as smart cities, driverless cars, on-the-go computing, creative innovations, lifestyle concepts, horticulture. The scenarios presented were largely premised on technologistic tropes such as convenience and connection, ways to do things better, more efficiently. Oops. So that's the venue. I don't know if you can see clearly. So domes, and you go through, and there are 5 rooms, and in one room you see a 7-minute long video, 360 degrees. Then in our room you see a 4-minute video, and then there's a wall showing Singapore press cuttings from the Straits Times from 50 years ago, and what the press cuttings may look like in future. And then there is a place where you imagine what kind of products we'll be enjoying in the future, what schools will be like, and so forth. And there's an interactive element where you are asked, the people who visit it are asked to sort of share their dreams of the future, right? And it sort of goes up in a kind of balloon kind of thing, and towards, I suppose, the aggregator and integrator of dreams. So this is a scene, the 360 experience. So the video is very high-techish. A lot of CGI of how Singapore will look like, even more what Singapore really looks like. This is one of the characters in one of the, she's wheelchair-bound, and the theme is how does she use this even more world-class transport system of the future. Then that's another scene from another video, all CGI. And the little sort of human element there is appears in one of the few places where actually you can see people doing something other than working very hard and going from A to B in a very sort of focused, intense manner, is this, right? Even though the message behind is very telling, that it is not really about play, right? And then I'll show you a clip of the video. So future exhibition, data of generation. So it's a 7-minute video and 360 degrees. These are the main characters. Vignettes from our fishing village past, so-called fishing village past. And this girl who wants the tomatoes to grow better. This guy who wants other people to help, more people to volunteer to help. And then this girl who is a designer trying to design playgrounds for children. And then the last guy trying to get people to share their vehicles of transport. Right, so a lot of mobile devices, a lot of driverless cars, and they are constantly connected to technology. No old people generally, right? All about the same age. There's a family, but very much typically a Singapore family where it is a nuclear family rather than extended family. You don't see scenes of people who are friends coming together to have a drink. Or there's one big mural where people are also very busy going from one place to the other. Nobody is dancing, playing music, reading, or whatever, right? So it's this idea. So I have 3 things to say about this. So amidst, and this exhibition is a work of, if you go to the website, of dreamers. Almost 100 people who are academics, civil servants, social activists, civil society people, artists as well, right? Musicians, theater people. So it is not just the government's conception, but even though the role of these dreamers were not clear, I spoke to one of them, contributed some ideas to it, right? So my 3 points are this. Amidst all this movement and busyness that was presented, there was precious little of the human element. I mentioned the mural, the lack of sort of human activity. There were people in the futuristic videos, of course, but they were bled of substantive significance, of joy of life. No one smiled, no one laughed. There's precious little family, community, social, and political life. A very dispiriting, sort of bled from life kind of image of what Singapore will be like in 2030, right? Quite lonely existences, I think people live then. Then number 2 point is that it is totally divorced from the reality that Singapore confronts, which there is no admission, right? Questions about democracy, about death penalty, laws of repression, high incarceration rate, foreign labor, extreme competition, excessive inequality, the price that we have to pay. Of course, this is supposed to be a sort of feel-good thing, right? And I can understand why that official government attempt to cap off 50 wonderful years should not stray into this territory, right? But I think that there was no even attempt to say that there are possibilities for conflict, for problems in the future, and how the technology can solve this other than bring you from A to B, right? Ideas about what happens to work, for instance, right? Ideas about the role of people in this society, not so much the role of technology. The role of Singapore in the world, even though last year was a very sort of inward-looking series of events, and our relationship and connection with one another, right? It's very much an atomized idea of human existence. which suits the government very well. People don't come together to do things, to change things, to work, even if and when they're asking for help from other people. So that's my second point. And okay, please stop. The third point is this. It hews very much to the long-held vision of governance and disempowered citizenship in Singapore, of instrumental, economic, technocratic. It's been said by many people before. The dreams offered of the possible mid-21st century Singapore are supposed to be those of a further utopia, but it comes across chillingly, not so much as a dystopia, but a place where actually humans perhaps inhabit it in a way in which not very different from the CGI figures. One of the difficulties for the exhibition is it was hard to tell whether those human figures were actually CGI androids or not because of the way they behave, right? They were so cold, and the smile was you do not know, what kind of feeling that they have behind there, right? So it's very much within that whole narrative that we have. This is the narrative. Just now, we talk about other people's narratives about Singapore, right? This is a narrative that we tell ourselves, and it's a narrative in which, quite tellingly, nobody, civil society, people, artists who have visited it, really engaged on and commented on. It was just accepted as, yeah, that's reality. That's what the government wants, and that's what the dreamers want. Thank you.